The man carefully cleaned the edge of an ice skate blade and opened his mouth as wide as he could. That's when he noticed a painfully rotten tooth. There was no doctor anywhere nearby, so he made a brave decision. He placed the blade against the bad tooth, held it firmly, then picked up a rock and slammed it down with all his strength. The unbearable pain caused him to pass out instantly. When he regained consciousness, he started opening the packages lying around, hoping to find something useful. The first box was filled with a huge stack of videotapes. The second box contained a volleyball. The third box held a pair of ice skates, which he could use to crack open coconuts. Then he found a woman's dress. He tore off the hem and turned it into a fishing net. But when he reached the last package, he stopped. Instead of opening it, he set it aside and made it his hope for survival. Later, he managed to catch a small fish with his homemade net, but the smell was so awful that he couldn't even swallow it. He tried rubbing sticks together to start a fire, but accidentally cut his hand. Furious, he smashed everything around him. When his anger finally settled, he noticed the bloody handprint he had left on the volleyball. He drew a face on it and named him Wilson. Keeping Wilson by his side at all times, he continued trying to make a fire. Maybe it was the loneliness, but as he worked, he even started talking to Wilson. At last, smoke began rising from the wood. He bent down and blew as hard as he could, and finally, the fire came to life. That night, he built a large fire on the beach, roasted a delicious crab, and found himself a new companion. Before he knew it, 8 years had passed, and the man had completely adapted to life on the island. Now, he could easily catch fish with a fishing line, but the loneliness was still eating away at him from the inside. One day, he spotted a metal panel floating in the ocean, drifting with the wind. That's when he decided to build a raft and use that panel as a sail. He started cutting down trees, collected their bark, dried it in the sun, and twisted it into strong ropes. He even unraveled the videotapes and tried making rope from the tape inside, but it still wasn't enough. He looked at Wilson. He couldn't bring himself to turn his only friend into rope. In the end, with no other choice, he climbed to the highest point of the cliff and untied the noose he had once planned to use to end his life. But this time, instead of choosing death, he chose to sail out into the sea. He dressed Wilson in clothes, carved a message into the cliff wall, and tied Wilson securely to the front of the raft. He also took the same last package with him, the one he had never opened. Now the man had officially begun his journey across the ocean. Fearlessly, he faced the towering waves and even encouraged Wilson to stand strong against the storm. As the massive waves crashed into the raft, he quickly untied the ropes and raised the sail. His raft survived the storm. When it rained, he collected fresh water and coconut shells and happily showed Wilson the fish he had caught. But later that night, another violent storm struck and tore the sail away. The man wrapped his arms tightly around Wilson. The raft drifted aimlessly across the sea. When he opened his eyes, Wilson was gone, floating away into the ocean. Without wasting a second, he jumped into the water and swam after him. But the closer he got to Wilson, the farther he drifted from his raft. In despair, he turned back, climbed onto the raft, threw away the paddle, and collapsed. He had lost Wilson, and with him, his will to live.